Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where apparently it's a good thing we decided that this was going to be a dry run, because, yeah, I loaded up the save from last episode, and I've tried this several times. Every time at least one part has fallen off of our craft. This is definitely a bug. At this point, you can see there are 4 parts that fell off when I loaded in this time. These are all, as far as I can tell, LT1 landing struts. So that's exciting. I've also had one of these tanks fall off on reload. I've had one where just one of these fell off, but I've never had one where no parts fell off. Here, I'll load it up again here, and let's see what happens. This happens with the autosave that I made when I exited the game, but also with the quick save that was made before I exited the game, because I save it and then I exit and save it for this exact sort of reason. So let's load in this one. This is the quick save that I made just before exiting the game. You can see this was made at virtually the same time. Let's load this in and let's see how much falls apart. This is going to be exciting for sure. What do we got? Okay, so yeah, see, it tumbles like that, the camera tumbles, and then 2 LT1 landing struts fell off. I have no idea. I don't know why we're in this tumble. We weren't in this tumble previously. I don't know why these fall off. Out of curiosity, what would happen if we go into the settings and we turn off, or rather we turn on unbreakable joints? Like this. And then we reload. What do you think would happen? Would we actually be in a situation where... Well, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know. Hang on. Let's just bring this up here. I want to try something else in addition to this. Real quick here. None of this matters in theory for the record. Okay, I'm going to pause this here. We can see that these landing struts have already come off here. It doesn't matter. We're not going to use the landing struts. This is just kind of interesting. Unbreakable joints are off at this moment. I'm going to turn them on. Now, I'm not sure that these are actually detached. They are. Okay, so 3 landing struts fell off. How even are they? One here, and one here. I mean, it's not going to be a huge amount of offset mass. Like I said, this is not actually going to be a problem. It's just kind of weird. However, there was a problem earlier when one of these tanks went with them. That's not the case with any of these. I only saw that once. It's kind of strange, right? I have no idea what's going on with that. I don't know why this is a thing. Also, where is our maneuver node? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Let's delete the maneuver node. I guess we don't care about these LT1 landing struts. It's fine. And we'll just get this tumble under control by doing this. There we go. And now we'll just replot our escape out from Tylo. I believe we were doing it on this side here. This should just be a prograde burn. And we're just going to look to escape from Jewel. Something like this. So is this timing was going to be pushing us away from the sun, if I recall correctly. Oh yeah, that's definitely slingshotting us away from the sun. So I want to not burn as much DV as possible there, and instead just put us in a fairly minimal orbit here like this. Okay, so let's align for that burn and hope that nothing else is horrifically broken. It would be for the best if nothing else was broken. So we're just going to tumble over here. We're going to have to turn this around to prograde. We're currently facing retrograde. And this burn is going to be in about 7 minutes, which is about when the previous one was. There were definitely some bugs with this save at this point. Luckily, it seems to be recoverable, so that's not a big concern. We had already decided to abort this landing, so we gotta head back. It's just Tylo is very, very difficult to land on. It requires a lot of delta V. Usually, when there's this much gravity, usually there is an atmosphere, and that is not the case here. But let's just get aligned. We're nearly there right now. And we've got about 6 minutes to warp. Okay. I'm noting our electric charge going down. It is not coming back up. And I'm wondering, do we actually have any electric charge coming in from our solar panels? I don't know. It doesn't really matter, though. We shouldn't need it. We've got the RTG, and we've got the alternator on our nuclear engine. So this should be fine. Let's warp forward. Yeah, we're watching our electric charge slowly go up. I'm not sure if our solar panels are working right now, or if they're just poorly angled. I mean, they're definitely poorly angled. There's no doubt about that. But that's fine for the moment. So 4x is the fastest we can warp forward, and I'm going to do the rest of this warp off camera. It's going to take like a minute and a half, and I'm not going to make you sit through that. So we'll be back when we are close to this burn position. See you guys in just a moment. Okay, so here we are very near to our burn position. We're still about 50 seconds out, but that's not too bad at 4x warp. So that is looking very, very solid here. We're going to have to burn about 1 kilometer per second. And yeah, the warp goes down at this point. But let's just continue our way through this warp. About 20 seconds. About 10 seconds. And bringing it down. 4, 3, 2, 1. These are not real seconds. And mark. Excellent. So let's get accelerating here. We are exiting this system. Dry run is dry run, so I guess that works. We definitely need to do some redesign on our lander. The lander is going to need to have more delta V and more thrust to weight. I think that's very, very clear. We can afford a heavier lander as well, although I'd like to find a way to make it nice and light. I'm wondering if we can make the lander also nuclear. That would be kind of crazy if we could. Surely we would have thrust to weight issues with that, right? Surely we would. Well, we should definitely be on 4x time warp here. That is the fastest that we can warp. And we're just going to be pushing on through this. We've got to burn for a while here yet. About 2 more minutes on this burn. We're definitely pushing that apoapsis up, and that will, of course, allow us to warp much faster once we get a little higher here. So overall, this is looking pretty decent. We've got still another minute and a half. We don't want to overburn this because this is going to be taking us away from Kerbal. Our timing on leaving isn't ideal, but it should do. We've got so much DV left in this. But it is very, very clear at this point that we 100%, and we can warp a little faster now, we 100% want to redesign our lander, and we want that to get a fair amount better. So we've got about 10 seconds left in this burn. What we are looking for is escape velocity from the Joule system. Nothing more, nothing less. So let's just let this push on through. We've got about 5 seconds of burn left. 4, 3, 2, 1. A little early there. Okay, that'll do. All we want is escape velocity from Joule. So that's fine. Next, we're of course going to want to have Kerbal be our target. So we're going to hop over to Kerbal here. This is actually Minmus. And we're going to head over this way, setting Kerbal as our target. So the question is, what is our inclination going to be once we're out here? Well, in this big of an orbit, it's going to take a while in terms of warp time. But we're going to want to warp to about... It's going to take us a year just to exit the Julian system? Okay, that's exciting. Let's double check that. That's accurate. Okay. So that's fine. We're going to warp to about here. And then from there, goodbye, by the way, Tylo. You were very interesting. We couldn't quite land on you. Goodbye, Joule. we definitely couldn't land on you. So yeah, a lander redesign is going to be important here. I just wasn't expecting Tylo to be quite as high gravity as it was. So yeah, that's fine. This would have worked, to be clear, if it had an atmosphere, but of course it didn't, and we knew that going in. But let's take a look here. We are now out of the Julian system. We need to return home and redesign this lander. So let's head over. This is the ascending node here. Okay, 1.3 degrees. That should be pretty cheap this far out. Other way. Okay. Yeah, that's very cheap. Cool. So something like this, 101 meters per second. We can align for that burn, and we, of course, still have quite a lot of mass here. We have a lot of fuel still. 6,000 DV in these outer tanks, plus whatever is in this inner tank, plus whatever's in these outer tanks, which I think is like 3,000, plus whatever is in this inner tank here, which is, I think, like 1,500. It's kind of crazy. I don't know actually how much is in here. That's one of the things I kind of want to find out, and we probably will find out. So, well, I don't know. 6,000 DV. That's a lot of DV. Are we going to get there? Well, we can force ourselves to get there. That would be fine. Okay, so we're aligning for this burn. This is going to be in more than 263 days. That's fine. We're on our way back. So I think that we've pretty thoroughly proofed our interplanetary transfer vehicle. It's just our landing vehicle at this point. And I mean, we are going to be bringing back some science. We'll see how much we end up getting out of that. But the lack of landing means that we are missing out on the 10,000 science from the mission, which is, you know, kind of a big deal. No doubt about that. Well, how close are we to this warp point? Are we going to have another year? Well, I'm trying to zoom out right now. Okay, there we go. We successfully zoomed out. Fantastic. Yeah, we've got a ways to go yet. These orbits are really, really slow. No doubt about that. I mean, you can look at our orbital velocity here, and you might say, wow, 4,000 meters per second. At this distance, that takes a really long time to get anywhere. That's just the way things work in the outer system. So we're just going to align here. The good news is the periapsis is not very far beyond. That's only like 6 months away. So we're definitely going to be able to drop down to lower levels in the system. So that'll be absolutely great. I was going to say in the atmosphere. Turns out there's very little atmosphere here. I know that's wild, but here we are. So we're going to warp forward a little further here. We've got about 2.5 minutes. So let's warp a little faster than this. 1.5, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 20, 10, and 7. That's, came out a little quicker than I expected. 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, so I no longer care about this maneuver. We're just using it for timing. The thing we care about is getting this to 0.0. So that'll be great. Now, this design could, in theory, go to Moho and land in the location there. We definitely could do that. And we might do that next and then redesign for Tylo. That might not be the worst idea. So, at the periapsis here, let's just bring this back. I would like to get a refuel before going to Moho. We probably could do it on what we have here, to be clear. But, actually, out of curiosity. So that would be the Eve orbit there. This would be Moho. We'd have a really, really big braking burn when we got there. No, I don't think we should go for Moho here. We should go for Moho later. Like, next flight. For sure. So, this is actually kind of close. We can probably get an encounter up over here. Mostly just through timing. So if I can grab this... No, that's radial. I guess that works. But I wanted to just grab the timing of this. Okay, that is an encounter. What encounter is it? This is 30,000 kilometers, so that's a pretty wide encounter. We can definitely dial that in a little bit. Maybe a little bit. It's prograde. Okay. Little bit prograde here. Okay, it's starting to go up again. That's indicating we're passing over the pole. That's fine. Let's bring this on down like so. That is now 2,500 kilometers. Little bit more prograde here. We're just continuing to fine-tune this periapsis. Bring that down to somewhere around... Whoa, that was too much. We're now on an impact trajectory. Okay, what is this? 10 kilometers. I mean, that would do the trick, but I want it to be a little higher. That's 44. I miss mouse wheel scrolling. KSP1 had mouse wheel scrolling on maneuver nodes, and it allowed you to make smaller incremental changes. This'll do. Okay, so that is absolutely fine. Apparently, there's going to be a jewel encounter again during this, but that's fine. This is taking that into account. So let's align for that burn. That's only going to be 1,800 meters per second to get us back there, but it's going to be a pretty big braking burn on the way in. I want to do a big radial retrograde burn. For one thing, I want to just burn through the fuel here and see how much fuel we have left here. That's going to be a useful thing. But we have a lot of DV left at this point. Now, we went to Tylo and came back, but the lander DV, we should assume at this point, is empty after a real mission, right? Or very close to empty. But yeah, we definitely needed a little bit more DV or thrust to weight in that lander, or just changed our design a little bit of the lander. This design will work perfectly for going to Moho, and I think that we should do that. But let's warp on forward here. This burn is going to be in about, well, 3.5 hours. Let's continue to warp forward. Beautiful. About 5 minutes. Now about 2 minutes. Hang on. There we go. Okay. So about 1 minute, 50 seconds, 40, 30, 20, 10, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. So that's going to be a pretty hefty burn here, and this is going to give us a jewel encounter again, which is mildly awkward, but should be fine. And I don't really care about how accurate this is, like exactly hitting that 40-kilometer marker we had set up. It would be fine to do that. We don't have to exactly do it, because I'm planning on a radial retrograde burn, and we'll tune it then, for sure. As long as we have a reasonable encounter here, that's what we're angling for. So let's head over to Kerbal. And we'll be watching for that reasonable encounter. Excellent. We've got about 2 minutes left here on this burn, and it's definitely not going to be showing up here for a little bit. 1.5 minutes. Cool. 1 minute. We can't exit the map or else we lose our position in it, which is mildly awkward, but that's fine. 30 seconds. 20. 10. I'm bringing this back down to 1x speed. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Where are we? Why are we not here? What has happened here? That's an interesting question. We appear to have missed, and let's make sure that that's our target. It is. I think the core problem right now is that we need to get on the other side of the jewel periapsis here. So we need to get to the leaving jewel here. So this is going to be like out over here. That's in 201 days. That's in 125. Okay. So let's warp to here. And we're just going to get ourselves through jewel, because I think it's just not projecting far enough ahead. Okay. So now we have exited. Yeah, now we can see it wasn't projecting far enough ahead. We just need to change this a little bit. So this is going to have to be a little bit of radial burning here. That's fine. This is just because there weren't enough patches in the encounter was messing us up. We couldn't see ahead because of it, which is sad. No doubt about it. But I'm not sure which normal, or rather which radial we want to do, radial in or out. We'll have to experiment with that. So let's just get aligned here, and we'll get this into position, and we'll just have to bring this in the old-fashioned way. That is absolutely fine in theory. Where are we going right now? We're going back this way. Okay. Let's not... we have the momentum. Let's go this way. I'm not sure which way we need to go. I don't think we need more retrograde, though, so I'm definitely not going to be burning right now. More retrograde is going to pull our periapsis closer towards Eve, and we would like this to be closer towards here, right? So we'll see what ends up happening with that, but we just need to get ourselves our Kerbal encounter back. But yeah, the jewel encounter definitely broke it a bit there, but we shouldn't have another one of those. So that's fine. At this point, let's see what direction this is going. That's kind of the wrong way, isn't it? It is. So we're going to need to head the other direction. That is unfortunate. Well, while we're working on that turn, we can definitely work on a maneuver plan for this. So that is going to mean that we want to go this way. That gets us an encounter. And now we can dial that encounter in. So I want to bring this probably prograde. Yes, prograde. There we go. And then a little bit of anti-normal. Probably more prograde from here. $70 kilometers. That's good right there. Okay, we'll leave it there. Let's just align for that burn. I have no idea where that burn is located right now. This is 12 meters per second, by the way. I am going to thrust limit this guy down to 1% thrust. 12 meters per second makes that big of a difference. So, yeah, we are definitely going to do this at 1% thrust. Okay, now it doesn't really matter that much when we do this burn, but we can warp to it. That's fine. And then, of course, we want to do a big old radial retrograde burn once we get into Kerbal. And we're probably going to need to brake with most of this. We're going to be coming in pretty fast, but maybe not that fast. I mean, we definitely have some spare DV here. That's for sure. Let's warp forward the, 19 days here, just to make sure that this is as accurate as possible. And yeah, I know we're not in position yet. Cool. Well, that became mildly awkward for sure. There's multiple reasons that was mildly awkward, but whatever. It doesn't really matter all that much. So let's just align for these last 40 seconds or so. Probably not going to take us that long to get aligned, to be honest. And we can just start this burn pretty much whenever at this point. It doesn't really matter. This orbit is so big that the percentage of orbital travel is going to be negligible. So it doesn't really matter. At this point, I'm just going to bring this on in. Uh-huh. At 1% thrust, this is going to take a while. Okay, we're going to want to bring this up to maybe like 5% thrust. Maybe like 10. There we go. That should do. Now we need to try to get back to Kerbal. I really wish it didn't change our map. Like, change our map focus every time we opened and closed the map. That would be nice. I don't know why we're looking up here now. I want to be looking here. Thank you. Okay. So we've got a little bit of time left on this burn. Yeah, this is going to be very sensitive. Okay. Let's just gently bring this in. That'll have to do. What's that periapsis? 40 kilometers? That is pretty much perfect. Okay, well, next episode, we're going to have to bring this back because it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to do a big ol' radial retrograde burn. I do want to know how much fuel is in, like, how much DV is in these tanks. That would be a good thing to know. And we're going to have to definitely do a redesign on our lander craft. No doubt about that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.